Hi, this is Nathan Ryan, and today we're going to use Flicker Fixer to correct footage in Avid Media Composer. Flicker Fixer is part of the image restoration tools in Boris Continuum Complete 10. There are many types of flicker that can appear in video. Old TVs, fluorescent lights, auto-irising in the camera, and sometimes it's even more noticeable in slow-motion footage. Boris Flicker Fixer offers several methods to fix these problems. Now, here I've got a shot of an old computer in front of an old tube TV, and that often causes problems, especially with cameras running at 24 frames a second. I'm going to apply the effect, and under Method, you can see I've got several options. Frame analysis is intended for shots where the flicker is uniform throughout the frame, as occurs with sudden changes in shutter speed or aperture variations. If most of the frame is flickering and a small part is not, frame analysis will generally remove most, but not all of the flicker. It might actually add flicker to the non-flickering part of the clip. But you can mask parts of the shot to prevent this flicker from being added. The two temporal smoothing methods, RGB and YCC, process each pixel independently. If part of the image is flickering and part is not, you can usually get good results by processing the whole clip. The filter will produce some softening in the non-flickering parts of the image, but you can use the matte controls to isolate this region and prevent any image softening. It's usually best to start with the RGB method, as it saves render times, but the YCC method can yield better results, especially if the Y, or luma channel, is what's flickering. Temporal smoothing is appropriate for this clip, since the flickering seems to be isolated to this part right here. And now that I've made my selection, we can adjust the controls. Obviously, the smoothing slider adjusts the amount of smoothing. The max frames slider is the maximum number of frames the filter uses to smooth out the flicker. Something to keep in mind is the larger the number, the longer the render time. Now I've removed a good amount of the flicker, but there's still a little bit on the joystick and the cartridge and the top of the computer. I'll apply a second version of the effect by holding down the Alt key and just dragging over the effect normally. I can use the matte controls to set an area I want to fix. I'll set the matte shape to rectangle, and it'll show the area that I'm going to adjust. Then I'll fix the geometrics to cover the area around the joystick and the cartridge. I'm going to set the smoothing to a rather high number, and that should get rid of the flicker entirely. The good thing about using the matte in this case is that it limits any weird artifacts that might happen where you'd lose detail through too much softening. Now, before rendering this clip, set the mask key render back to render with matte. Otherwise, we'll wind up seeing the red rectangle in our final clip. As you can see, Boris Continuum's restoration tools have once again saved a shot from the cutting room floor. The flicker is entirely gone. Flicker Fixer, as well as the rest of Boris Continuum Complete 10, is also available for Premiere, After Effects, Sony, and Resolve. Even though all these programs have different interfaces, as you can see, the Boris Effects controls generally remain the same throughout all of them. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm Nathan Ryan for Boris Effects and Imagineer Systems, signing off.